How do you get some bigger guns? What's the trick? How can I get some bigger arms? Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now. The most important thing you gotta do about this is obsess over it. This needs to be the most important thing in your training regimen as of right now. Everything else you can train, still hit your lower body, you can still hit your chest and your back and your shoulders and your abs. That's fine, but your main priority right now needs to be your arms. So when I did this, I had this little psychological thing, and it was like I needed to be thinking about these things at all times. I live in Canada, and I would wear a t-shirt absolutely everywhere. Spring, summer, fall, winter. I was always wearing a t-shirt. Of course I wore a jacket when I went outside, but even indoors, always wear a t-shirt. I always needed to see them. I'd walk into a mirror, I'd have to see it. How are they doing today? Always be looking at it, I'd be obsessing about it. It was always on the top of my mind. By doing this made me more inclined to want to work out, noticing the growth in them or noticing a lack of growth. That always was a, kind of a reflection response on how is my training going. So that's the first thing I did. I was always wearing a t-shirt so I could always see them. And then everybody else I was able to see the gains would always make mention of it. Dude, holy hell, how are your arms getting so big? That worked wonders for my psychology because it made me more inclined to keep doing what I was doing because I knew it was working. So that's really important. Psychological stuff is where I tend to try and push myself towards to leverage my success. So I don't have to force myself to work out. So that was the first thing. Now let's get into the actionable tips. First thing I did, I started training my arms 2 times a week. So I hit my biceps twice a week, I hit my triceps twice a week, and I would compile them together. Now, the most important thing when you actually go to work out your arms is this. Your triceps are 2/3 of your arm. Your biceps are only 1/3. The difference in size of this thing compared to this thing is like, this is literally twice as big, if not just a littlest bit more. So your main priority needs to go on the triceps. I see all of these guys that want to get bigger arms and they're focusing on bicep curls, bicep curls, bicep curls. Actually, they even neglect training their triceps and they say, man, I can't get growth on my goddamn arms. I've been doing bicep curls like crazy. How have you been doing triceps? They go, no. Or if they do triceps, they go, yeah, a little bit, but I didn't really do too much. I did like 3 sets of some skull crushers, so it was pretty easy. Did you go hard yesterday? Did you really work them out? I was kind of tired. I did biceps really. I went pretty crazy on my biceps and I wanted to get out of there after that. I was tired. Okay, well that's the main reason. Priority should always be on the triceps before the biceps because growth in your arms will literally be twice as noticeable if you focus on the triceps as opposed to the biceps. Next actionable tip, increase the time under tension. Most guys, if they're gonna work out, they're gonna have a total time under tension for biceps and triceps combined. Let's just hypothetically say like 300 to 400 seconds for the whole workout. What you need to do is increase that 300 to 400 seconds to like 600 to 800 seconds. You need to be going ham at this. So how you can increase time under tension? Higher volume, more sets, or you can do some slow force negatives on each repetition. And force negative meaning, so let's say for the bicep curl example, actually, let's move our mind away from the biceps and focus on the triceps because that's priority. So I'm gonna help you guys with that right now. So let's say you were doing dips. You explosively come up and then you bring yourself down nice and slowly. That's the negative right there. So this is the concentric portion where you're bringing yourself up, you're flexing the muscle, and this is the negative or the eccentric, and you're just milking that. And that's gonna burn it out, and that's how you can actually increase time under tension. So you can spend, between 3 to 5 seconds on each of those negatives, after you're coming down, right? So you're up here. Sorry, I'm just kind of forgetting this. So you've locked your arms out, and then you're just gonna come down, bring yourself down nice and slowly, 3 to 5 seconds, and then pop yourself back up. That's gonna help you do that. Now, one thing I always love to do, and this was a technique that was always very successful for me, was to superset. So I would combine, actually it's called a compound set more specifically. A compound set is when you do 2 exercises, both exercises focus on the same muscle group. A superset is when you perform 2 exercises, one exercise is focused on one muscle group and the other exercise focus on a different muscle group. And you perform these one after the other with no rest. Now, back to the point. I'd be doing these compound sets. So let's say for my triceps again, I would perform 1 set on the dips and then directly after, like no rest, get into some like cable extensions with the rope. And this was actually a set that I used too. So I perform the dips, and this is how I would work this. I would perform a compound exercise for the triceps first, one that would hit all 3 heads. The dips, very effective at doing so. So I performed the dips for about 8 to 10 repetitions, and I'm talking real slow, real good form. Like it was explosive when it came up, but like I said, I milk that negative and then explosive to come up. And if I needed more weight, then you just strap on some some plates onto a belt, or you can carry some dumbbells in between your knees, just increase the difficulty of the exercise. So I would perform those dips for about 8 to 10 repetitions. Directly after that, move on to the cable extensions, and I was using the rope. So what I was able to do is mostly focus on that outer head. And I would perform that exercise for between 12 to 15 repetitions. So the first exercise, compound exercise, high amount of weight, low amount of repetitions, hitting all 3 heads. And then directly after that, I'm moving on to more of an isolation of tricep exercise for the higher volume. So the repetitions, like I said, were like 12 to 15 reps. And then directly after that, I'd rest. Now, you guys know my philosophy. I don't like to rest too much. I think people are way too generous with the rest. I always thought this on myself, and I wanted to be as hard as I possibly could on my body, as safely hard as I could on my body. So what I would do then was I'd rest between like 30 to 45 seconds, and then directly again, do another set. And I'd perform this superset about 3 or 4 total times, and by the end, your triceps are gonna be totaled, like absolutely total. And the pump you're gonna see on this thing is just monstrous. And this is one of those psychological things that you want to pay attention to. Once you see this monstrous pump, you're like, yes, this is actually working. You gotta lock that in your mind. Take a look at that thing, observe it, just get motivated by that, because that's what your arm's gonna look like in like the next 3 to 6 months if you consistently keep applying this. And so that was an important thing too. I always wanted to take a look at, holy hell, it just let it motivate you. And that just made me so much more hungry to actually even want to do more sets if I felt so inclined to do that. And now the exact exercise that I would do for the biceps, this one is tough, mostly because I hate chin-ups, but this is what I would do for my biceps. So my compound bicep exercise would be, like I said, chin-ups. I'd perform 8 to 10 repetitions, full repetitions. Now, if you can't do chin-ups, or actually if you can't even do tricep dips, then so for the chin-ups, what I would recommend is if you don't have a system that can help you pull your body weight up and reduce the amount of weight that you're actually lifting, then you can either use a resistance band, and you can actually hook it under your knees, and then hook it up to the bar that you're doing your chin-ups on, and the resistance band will actually take off some of the intensity on there. And then if not that, then you can just focus on negative. So you jump up to the bar, and then you just let yourself come down nice and slowly. You'll get the same effect. So, and you can do the same thing with the dips. Now, how I do those would be the exact same as with the dips. So I'd get about 8 to 10 repetitions. I'd load on some weight if I was able to get more repetitions. Either grab a dumbbell between my knees or grab a belt and hang a plate off there. And then I just perform 8 to 10 repetitions, and then directly after that I get into some seated dumbbell curls and really just try and focus on having some real nice stable form, and focus on that outer head of the bicep there. And again, 3 to 4 sets of doing that, 30 to 45 seconds between each one of these sets, and my biceps were like toast, like completely toast, and the pump there was just insane. So my tricep was blown up, and then my biceps was blown up. There's so much blood in there, and I was just like, damn, that looks really good, and it motivated me. So I do that 2 times per week, and that's pretty much what I did. The intensity has to be there. Like, you gotta be motivated to do this. You gotta put your mindset into this, and you're not gonna be motivated every time to want to crush these workouts, but you need to kind of get yourself into it and get into the groove of just crushing it. Think about the psychological reasons of why you want this. What's your reason? Why do you want these big guns? You want go to the beach and have girls looking at you like, damn, how the hell did he get arms that look like that? That's holy hell. You want your buddies to go, man, how did you do this? You got to show me how to do this. Think about these reasons, and these will motivate you while you're working out. So that's what I did. And then the next important thing is you gotta change things up here too. Like the sample that I just gave you there for bigger arms will work for a little bit, but after a while your body adapts. That's what the human body does, it adapts. So after about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how long you felt you've plateaued, like it might be 4 weeks, it might be 2 weeks that your arms start to plateau and the growth is kind of slowed, either in strength you're not able to lift any more weight or more repetitions, or the arm size has just stopped growing. That's when you need to change things up, and you can either do that by adding like high volume and doing sets of 20 repetitions to just completely shock the muscle, changing the exercises, so like change up every exercise that you have there just to provide the muscles with a new way to be attacked, or The force negatives, like I mentioned, that you could do with the chin-ups or the dips, where you just jump up to the bar and, you know, let yourself slowly come down. But for the biceps, one of my favorite force negative exercises with that is the negative concentrated curl. So you pull the arm up and then you just let it come down as slowly as you possibly can, obviously with a really, really heavy weight. Like the weight should be definitely heavier than you're able to one arm curl it up with, and so you're going to use this arm, help it up, and then just slowly let it come down. Force negatives are incredible, and actually you can do the same thing with some skull crushers. If you get a weight that's way too heavy, what you can do is actually you press the weight up and then you just slowly bring it. Here, I'll give you a better example from this end. So you're laying down on the bench. Well, imagine my back is on a bench here. You press the weight up, right? And then you get your shoulders and your chest to help you get the weight up there, and then you just bring it down as slowly as you possibly can. And then instead of just extending like this, you bring it down to your chest, press it back up, and then force negatives. And that's a great way to shock the muscles too, but you constantly need to be doing things to change up the routine after your body begins to plateau and adapt to the exercises, because you're gonna plateau. You're not gonna be able to get your results. So that's extremely important as well. And then the last thing that you need to be doing is you need to be training these muscles to failure as much as possible. Listen, the muscles will not grow unless they have a reason to grow. The reasons your muscles strengthen and gain size is because they need to adapt to a new stimuli. So this will fall in with the same kind of category of changing things up, but changing things up in the way of adding more weight. Progressively overloading with more weight is what I'm getting at right here. So if you're bicep curling, for example, with the 40s, right? You're doing concentrated curl with the 40s, and you're doing 40s every single week. Why is your body gonna have to grow and strengthen? Why is the muscle gonna have to grow and strengthen? It's adapted to that muscle or that weight. You do the same amount of repetitions for the same amount of sets. It's adapted. Why does it need to grow? It doesn't, so it won't. So in order to stimulate more growth, you either have to add in more repetitions, more sets, or more weight so that the muscle goes, hey, I'm unable to lift this weight anymore, because, you know, if you were to try and do 5 more repetitions on the concentrated curl than you normally can do. So let's say you do 10 repetitions on the concentrated curl normally with the 40-pound dumbbells, and now you try and push it, maybe not 5 actually, we'll do 2. Maybe you do 12 repetitions, try and get to that. You get the 11th and you actually get the 11th one up, and then that 12th one, you get it up only part way, and then you completely fail. Your muscles, or sorry, your mind are gonna go, okay, the muscle's unable to lift weight at the degree or the volume that this individual wants to. So as a consequence, what we're gonna have to do is the muscle's gonna have to grow. So it's when you fail, when you get to that failure point, that really triggers growth responses in your body. It's when the body goes, okay, we need to adapt to this new stimuli if we wanna be able to survive. As a consequence, size gains and strength gains. So hitting failure is absolutely important. Do I recommend it on every single set? Absolutely not. You're going to totally gas yourself. But you know, maybe 1 to 2 out of every 4 sets that you do, definitely want to hit failure, especially on the last sets. I like to kind of save my failure for the last sets. If you start doing them at the very beginning of your first couple of sets, then you're going to be really burned out in your last sets. You're going to just have no energy. So you want to kind of conserve that energy. So there you guys go. That's a really in-depth explanation of what I did and what I do to grow my arms. And now this strategy doesn't just work for arms, it can work for every single muscle group you can think of. Your shoulders, your legs want bigger, calves. This is what you gotta do. Apply these principles and you will see the success. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to give it a like down below, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you won't wanna miss. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.